Question 6, we're given 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers, and we have to put them in order, smallest to biggest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this carefully. I can see that's 1.9 and that is 1.253. I know the 1 point something is bigger than the 0.96. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare these two down here. So let me write that out, 0.96. And let me write that there, 0.328. And now you have to be careful because this looks bigger than this. But because these numbers are after the decimal point, you have to be careful. So what I'll do is I'll put a 0 here to help me. It's like a placeholder. So now if I'm careful in my mind, I can ignore these two zeros. And I can look at this number here as 960 now. And I can look at this number here as 328. So this is all going on in my head. And I can see that 328 is smaller than 960. So that number there is going to be my first number in my list. So let me write my number here, 0.328. So that will be my second number there, 0.96. Now we've got these two numbers left and we'll line them up, carefully making sure that our decimal points are lined up. So if we look at the first column on the left, they're both ones. So what we do, we move on to the next column. And in the second column, the 9 is bigger than the 2. So we know this is going to be our largest number. So this number is going to go right at the end. So it will be 1.9 there. And finally, we can put this number here. So now our numbers are all in order from the smallest to the biggest. In question 7, the first part, we're given 60 months is equal to so many years. So we don't know this number. So we have to work out how many years are there in 60 months. And we know 1 year is equal to 12 months. So now if I divide 60 by 12, I'll get the number of years. So remember this, if I'm going from a year to find months, I multiply by 12. And if I'm going from months to a year, I do the opposite, which is divide by 12. And I want to go from months to years, from months to years. So I need to do 60 divided by 12, 60 divided by 12. So what I can do is do my 12 times table, 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our answer is 5. So there are 5 years in 60 months. The next part of the question is 72 hours equals how many days? And again, I know 1 day equals 24 hours. And if I look at the number 1 and the number 24, so if I want to go from a day to hours that way, I multiply by 24. And if I want to go from hours to a day, I do the opposite or the inverse. Divide by 24. Let me just write this word inverse again. It just simply means opposite for us. So what I need to do is 72 divided by 24. So this is my calculation, 72 divided by 24. Now what I can simply do is keep adding 24 till I get to 72. That's one way of doing it. So let me do this here. 24 add 24. 4 add 4 is 8. 2 add 2 is 4. So I need to get to the number 72. So let me do that again. So 48 add 24. 8 add 4 is 12. So I put the 2 down and I carry the 1 over to the next column. 4 add 2 is 6 plus the 1 is 7. So I've reached 72, which is the number I wanted. Now how many 24s have I added? 1, 2, 3. So 72 hours is equal to 3 days. The final part of question 7 is 84 days is equal to how many weeks? So I know 1 week equals 7 days. So if I go from 1 week, I get 7 days. So if I want to go from a week to days, I multiply by 7. And if I go from days to a week, I do the opposite of times 7, which is divide by 7. So I do divide by 7. So my calculation is 84 divided by 7. 84 divided by 7. If I do my 7 times table, I know 10 times 7 is 70. And I simply add another 7. So I know 11 times 7 is 77. Now, if I add one more 7, so I've got 12 times 7 is 84. So how many weeks are there in 84 days? There's 12. Now, if I didn't know my fact, 10 times 7, it would have been much longer because I would have had to do something like this. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. Then 42, 49, 56, 63, and 70. That there is 10 times 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if I knew 10 times 7 is 70, it would be much easier. Then I can do 77 and 84. So it's very important, as I've said before, learn your times tables. And it makes your maths much easier.